Page 18, ribbons. At the top of the page, they're talking about interval of a seventh. Well, apparently you've already had intervals because they're not telling you what an interval is. They're just saying, here's an interval of a seventh. So let's review intervals because it helps if you can understand intervals to understand a lot of the other stuff that we need to understand later. Are you lost yet? Well, an interval is the distance between any two notes. Let's go back to C major, all the white keys. If I have two notes, the distance between them is their interval. And to figure it out, I simply count up. And the note I'm on, bottom, that's 1. We don't start with 0. It's 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's an interval of a fifth. Remember our chord? Well, that's an interval of a third and an interval of a third. Together, top and bottom, it's an interval of a fifth. See how some of it sort of ties together? Okay. And each interval has its own quality, its own sound. Some are pleasant, some are not so pleasant. Because I can go a second. And that's tension, that's edginess. Ooh. And a third, that sounds a little better. That's ah. Fourth is okay, sort of. A fifth sounds okay, it's just empty. It wants something else. Sixth is okay. A seventh, that's back to edgy again. Ugh. And then an eighth, that's an octave. Letter is an octave or an eighth. 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, or whatever. They'll have certain edginess or niceness about them. And an interval of a seventh is a tension chord. It's you want something to do with it. Generally speaking, it resolves up here. It resolves up. It doesn't have to, it can go down. It just isn't quite as effective as resolving up. We can do more with the seventh later because it comes in handy. When you take a regular triad and you add the seventh to it, now we're starting to get in there. Kind of a jazzy kind of a feel here. So we'll get into them, I hope. Well, anyway, let's talk ribbons. Looks ugly, doesn't it? It's got eighth notes all over everywhere. So look it over. It's a little over a page and a half long. Treble bass clef. Common time or 4/4 time. Remember, 4 beats in a major, quarter note gets a count. So we have to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and all over the place. But we're only counting like that to get the rhythm. Once we have the rhythm, you don't count it anymore. You feel it. Let's see. This actually, it's one hand or the other playing. They're not really playing together too much. So I'm going to take both hands together. The left hand starts here, and we got the interval right off the bat. Here. We're not going to stay there, but that's where you're starting. And the right hand starts here. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and the thumb comes down. No, third major, little fit, just you're reaching down and then we're calling. We're gonna move, but I want to do it by crawling, not moving. I want to crawl around if I can because I can feel my way around. Once you lift up and move, you've lost contact with the piano, the keyboard, and you can get lost. Doesn't have to get lost, you can, but generally it's just easier. So when I go from the second measure here to the third measure here, I'm going to crawl here and then here. So the second measure, and I go ahead and get your hand ready to go before, because you got to rest there. Then come back up. Measure at 5, you got to reach down. That's that seventh again. Reach down, G sharp. Now the right hand comes down. And come back up, and I feel this coming up. Get the idea? Now measure 12 at the end of the page here. Measure 13. All the notes are in the upper staff, so the left hand's going to come up here and play them. The bottom staff's empty, so they've taken the staves and kind of combined them. So now, during the rest, while you're holding that down during the rest, bring your left hand over here ready to go, because these are the notes it needs to go. And then as you're playing those, you'll move the right hand. You're basically doing the same thing again, but up here. Okay. Now when you finish measure 16, again, while you're holding the half note down, get the left hand down here ready to go, and then as you're playing that, you move the right hand. You're doing that again. Rather repetitious, isn't it? Let's go down to the bottom. Measure 25. You're here. Come up. Oh. Down. Then down here. C. And you get bass clef from the upper staff, so during the rest you come down. Here. Yeah. So I'll figure out the hands, and then the rhythm isn't too bad. It's just 1 and 2 and 3 and. Get rid of any hesitations. No hesitations. It'd be nice to be able to get to where you can play most of this without looking at the keyboard, even though you're moving. You got to look sometimes, like when you go from measure 12 to 13, you're here, you got to come up, you got to look at that and this. But once you're up there, you don't need to look again for a while. So try not to look at the keyboard any more than you have to. And I say that because I'm encouraging you to develop this feel of crawling around on the keyboard. Then I had the articulation, and this is very connected. They have the slurs, and these are slurs. So I think they're also, I just connect this whole thing pretty much together. Then the dynamics, it applies to both hands because there's no real melody. Softly, whatever you think that is. You get very soft on measure 13 when you're up here, very soft. Don't know why, but you are. And then measure 17 is soft. Measure 21 is sort of loud now. On measure 25, you're loud. Now on measure 27, the first 2 is loud. Then come down just a little bit. Come down some more. Soft. So I'm kind of planning it out. I have to plan it out because if I don't, I'll be soft by the time I play the first half note. I'll be soft there and the next to the last measure, and that's too soon. Now in the third measure, you see the word simile. Simile, when used in music, means to keep doing in a similar manner that you're doing. Keep doing it. And it can apply to anything. What it applies to depends on where it's located, because it could be anywhere. In between the staff like this, where you're looking at what were you doing that they're not showing you anymore? What changed? And it's the slurs. It's the first 2 measures, they gave you slurs. And then they don't give you slurs anymore. Huh? Well, simile means keep slurring it the way you were just slurring it. Pretend there's slurs all the way through. Until they give you something else, and they don't. So just keep doing that all the way through. You don't need a simile for the P. For the soft, you think, well, that's simile, right? So I'm going to be P. You don't need a simile for that, because when they give you a dynamic, you stay at that dynamic until they give you something else. You don't need a simile. It's the slurs that you get the simile for. Because otherwise, when they stop giving you slurs, that turns it open and you can do whatever you want. I could play them staccato if I wanted to. Because there's no slur lines anymore. But the simile takes care of that. It says, keep doing it. Now once I have all that, I'll do the pedal. And this is going to be the legato pedal like they're teaching. And I'm going to put the note down, or the pedal down, right after I play the first note in a measure. And I'm going to change the pedal right after I play the first note in a measure. And you got to do it immediately after, because otherwise you won't catch the note. You'll be too late, because it's only an 8th note. It doesn't last very long. So here, change it right after. And that's how it's done all the way through. Now I'll show you another little technique. if you're getting it okay, if you're struggling with this, forget this. But if you're doing this okay, then I want to show you something else. When we have these quick notes, like these eighth notes, they don't last very long. Now, to make sure that you catch the first note with the pedal, because if you're too slow, you won't catch it. I'm too slow, I got to catch it. So to help that out, what we do is what's known as finger pedal the note. Finger pedaling is when you hold a note down longer than the music says to, so it'll sound longer. Well, sounding longer, that's what the pedal does. It makes it sound longer. So what we do is we simply hold this down as we play that. So for an instance, I got both notes down. I'm finger pedaling the first note. This holds it down longer to make sure I catch it with the pedal. That's all it's for here. Here. That's all it's for. We use a lot of finger pedaling in piano to help us make sure we get the notes down okay, because that's easy to get off, especially with the pedal. Now, as I said, if you're struggling with getting it, forget that. Just play the eighth note like you're supposed to. I felt a little retard at the end, I put it in. They did a retard at the bottom of page 18, so why can't I do one on 19? It doesn't say to, but I felt it, so I added it. Remember the natural accents. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exaggerate them if you have to. 1, 2, feel these all the way through. Don't exaggerate them, just feel it. Let's play it together very slowly. Check the notes and the rhythms and all. I think I'm going to leave the pedal out because you hear the notes better without the pedal. And really, we're just checking notes and rhythms. And the pedaling is pretty straightforward. So I'll give us 4 counts. 1, 2, ready, and go, and 4, 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 and off.